domains was low. Doma changing the game. One bridge, one standard. Now the systems move the same. Registrar stay central, keep the trust and control. DNS and compliance, still they play the key role. Traded on chain, let new markets arise. Domain value unlocked. Welcome to DomainFi.
Welcome to Doma OnAir. This is episode 6. Last time we came to you live from Vegas, the Dominion Conference, and we're back today with Doma OnAir. We're going to talk agents, assets, and alert.ai with a special guest featuring Braden Pollock. Before we get to Braden, just briefly here, we'll in a second gonna go to Fred and then Inder. If you've been hanging out with us at on Doma OnAir, not your first time hearing from either of these gentlemen, but if you haven't done so yet, would love some love on the space. The video link, hit that like, the repost, any and all that, hit that bookmark. No one checks your bookmarks on X anyways. Any of that is all greatly appreciated. Goes a long way to help discoverability with the algo. And over there on YouTube, hit that like, and if you haven't yet subscribed, smash that subscribe button. But as I mentioned, we all got together a few weeks back in Vegas for Dominion. For episode 5, we had Braden in the room there, as well as many other OG domainers from both the Web3 and the Web2 world. Now we wanted to pull Braden back in for a proper sit-down interview here today, and going to talk about, as I mentioned, alert.ai and what AI agents actually mean for domain investors, as well as a new Doma product called DAVs that I don't know if I fully understand yet, but Inder's going to explain it to us. We got Quester Live, season 1 is here. And 2, not 1, but 2 new .ai domains just launched. A lot to get through, so we're going to get right into it. As I said, before we get to our special guest of the day, Inder, do you mind starting with you? Just a brief background, maybe your role title there at Doma, and maybe anything you didn't share last time with the audience.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, Chris. I think this is my 3rd time here. I run product and tech at D3. I've been, friends with Fred for more than 10 years now. And, I think for me personally, I think the thing that has changed the most is the rate at which we're shipping. AI has dramatically changed the game. And, we're going to talk about that today. But I think we're seeing a lot of those, every single day at D3.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Just to second that point too. I think what do we talk about internally, Inder? It's AI has now basically narrowed the gap from idea to execution, from that down to this. So what else do you really have now? You have relationships with guys like Braden and all his great inventory. You have an industry that that you have unique access to kind of modernize. Those are the intangibles, I guess, that AI can't really sort of touch these days, in my opinion. Just to add to that thought, it's been fun so far.
It's interesting, Fred, how it seems that the world is coming online, on-chain, all the above. Everything's moving so much faster with AI, becoming more digital. Yet at the same time, to your point, those analog relationships and the in real life seems to be increasing in importance. Is that fair? Do you agree with that?
From my perspective, oh yeah. I mean, my kids don't even think about it now using AI tools, right? Now it's about using. I give them both, and even my colleagues at D3, we encourage people to use their brain first and use AI tools second. Use AI, but don't generate slop. You're still the responsible individual for certifying it, you know what I mean? Before you pass it on to your colleague. I think AI slop's still there, but we try to minimize it by having good humans behind the scenes.
I think it reiterates Fred's point. I think good humans have good relationships, good business acumen, and like Fred loves to say, they build the right product at the right time, right? With AI, building is not the cost, but knowing what to build, how to build it, how to get it in front of your audience becomes the real game.
Yep, no doubt.
I think with sorry, we're kind of riffing here, and I'm sure we're going to Braden's piece first, but DAVs. We're going to talk about that soon, right? What does it mean? An acronym, dude? There are millions of acronyms now. You can't even keep track of them all, right? And so you need a filtering mechanism. I just want to highlight again, Nobody gives a shit about DAVs, for example, unless they're easily explained and actually being used in generating things like money for cryptocurrencies and tokens. So practicality wins.
Before we introduce Braden properly here, I was going to ask you, by the way, Fred, CEO of Doma, our fearless leader, been on the show many times. I was going to ask, what's something that we haven't shared yet by way of background or introduction? More specifically now, you queued this one up for yourself. What's your favorite acronym of all time? If you had to pick one, if you had to choose a favorite acronym, what would that be?
Oh, man. KISS. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid.
All time one. Probably, and I think related to AI today is sometimes we tend to I think a lot of people might think they're smarter than they are due to some LLM assistance, but keeping it simple and speaking in layman's terms without that something that's not AI generated, probably key. Let's without further ado, let's bring in our special guest of the day. We've got Braden Pollock in the building. Braden is a domain investor, founder of Legal Brand Marketing, angel investor in dozens of companies, board member at the ICA. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Owner of alert.ai, which is now live on Doma. We're going to get into all here in a bit, but before we get too far ahead, Braden, do you mind filling any gaps there? I don't think my introduction did your background justice. We've been very fortunate to have many OG domainers here on the show. Anything highlights or just anything in general about yourself? I know you're very serious, never joke, never use sarcasm or anything, but anything by way of background you'd like to share with our audience today? Maybe
I don't even understand humor. Like, why do people do it? Seems like just a waste. So first of all, I'm not in the building. I'm at home. There's no building. There is no. I don't. This is an expression.
Braden refuses
we just need to retire that because no one's ever in the building.
Braden refuses to drive down here to LA, and I refuse to drive.
You could have been in the building with Fred and I.
That's true, but I'd have to deal with LA traffic, and it would take me. I would have had to leave. I would have left last night, and I just got home from Stockholm last night from Nordic Domain Days, so I wasn't about to deal with that LA traffic. You're
helicopter.
Downtown. Nobody wants to actually go downtown.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Helipad, top floor.
Okay,
next time.
Now we're talking. Send me like a blade, right? That's that Uber helicopter situation.
There you go.
And I'm getting the Dominion next year.
I'm there. Okay, so intro. So I've been an investor for about 20 years, I guess. And I started in the legal space. I have a legal marketing company, which is, you mentioned Legal Brand Marketing, which is a lead gen company. And I started back then, 22 years ago, we were developing websites, and I started registering names for clients. And then next thing I knew, I had 15,000 names and monetizing them at Domain Sponsor, which is Fred's old company from back in the day. And eventually I started moving up market and buying more and more valuable names. And now I'm at the kind of the tip top of the market, the short one-word.coms, really focus on the 6 and 7 figure names. And that's kind of my bread and butter. And I don't do legal names anymore, but every once in a while I still have a few, but my focus is really on the high value stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. I know, Fred, you alluded to it earlier, but it seems like from the team to the guests we've had on the show, so many of these relationships go back decades. I'm not trying to date any of you. I'm right there with you, but it does, I think, speak a lot to yourself, the team, Doma, in terms of not just the people you've attracted to work on the team, but those that continue to work with you. I don't think that happens if, I don't know, the relationships weren't good or you burnt bridges along the way. So I knew it wasn't necessarily on the agenda today per se, but it just hearing Braden say that as well. Like, it's just so many of these leaders in the domain space you go way back, right? Like, it's would you, maybe more important than your favorite acronym, any advice for those that are maybe newer to entrepreneurship or just getting started, or maybe they're excited about their domain that they're going to build a business on? Anything that you would attribute that success in terms of the longevity of these relationships that you very clearly built over the years?
Yeah, I think that relationships keep things warm and open up doors, but it is up to the company, the tech, the product to deliver, right? Relationships are super important, especially in the age of AI, but they only kind of go so far. I mean, you heard Braden say 20 years. I think I started as well 20 plus years ago, literally across the street, my first domain company. I'm a loyal and rather, I don't need to change things up except for some key things like tech and, of course, working with new people who can introduce tech and new products like Inder and the rest of the team. So I think just find a niche and really hit it hard. Too many companies, in my opinion, try to kind of, and VCs for that matter, chase too many bright, shiny objects, kind of go a mile wide and like an inch deep. I would rather be like an inch deep and a mile wide. An inch wide and a mile deep. Sorry, it's morning. I'm reversing my lingo here. You get me.
I'm tracking with you. Well,
got to go deep with Braden and team.
Like Fred was still crapping in his pants when he got into the domain space. He was a toddler. So there's that.
I mean, in all seriousness, either that or you guys are aging very well, because it was very apparent to me at Dominion that so many people in the room have been around the space for seemingly 20, 30, 40 years. And you either got started like when you were maybe just out of diapers or high school, or you're aging like fine wine, one of the two.
Fred was pretty young. Although, like,
I was 21.
I gotta work for it.
I was an adult technically, but probably still wanting to crap in my pants every now and then.
Yeah. Also, Chinese people don't age.
Yep.
So I have to work for it. Right?
It's not just that. Like, we were at dinner last night, and I was asking, like, Susan and Kathy, like, why do I never hear anyone ever leaving the domain industry? And they could not think of many examples where people left the industry. Once you're in for life. Like, there is no leaving the industry.
Interesting.
It's a pretty tight-knit community internationally. I mean, we all live all over the world, and we go to these conferences, and you're in it for a long time. You make friends, and why would you leave? It's a very profitable industry. We make a lot of money doing what we're doing. There's not a ton of competition. There's some thousands of people doing this, or maybe tens of thousands if you talk about like the weekend warriors, the super part-time people. But it's a pretty small industry, and once you learn the players and know how to make money in domains, like, why would you leave this industry?
Yep, it was one of the takeaways for me from Dominion was that, like, the quality of people, the global nature of the industry, people from all across. While yes, many have been in the domain industry for a while, really seemingly came from different backgrounds, different parts of the planet, and all, maybe not all, but many very, very close. Wasn't their first time meeting, and many like yourselves had known each other for many, many years. Speaking of Dominion, Braden, I had a blast. It was my first Dominion. I know you've been in this space for a long time. You've been to many conferences in the space. There was many. It was interesting to me as it was, one side of the room you got a bunch of Web3 domain veterans. The other side you got a bunch of Web3 builders and everything in between. What was your honest read of Dominion? And I guess, did you enjoy it? Thoughts, high level thoughts on Dominion itself?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great conference. It's really the only conference that kind of bridges the Web3 and the Web2 world, right? So most of the conferences I go to are Web2. It's all domain related, whether it's aftermarket, registry, registrar. I mean, there's different parts of the domain world, but Web3 is kind of like distinct and separate, and D3 is kind of bringing those two together by taking domains, putting them on Doma, putting them on the blockchain, and then bringing in all the Web3 degens to invest via buying tokens, right? We tokenize the Web2 guys tokenize our names, and then the Web3 guys can invest. And it's really, I mean, I think D3, correct me if I'm wrong, but D3 seems to be like the only company that's bridging those two worlds.
As far as I know, I've not seen anything like it.
And definitely not at the scale I also wonder, Braden, like, you've been in the industry for a while. How many conferences have focused on like the financialization of names until like D3 came along? Like, there's always been money involved. There's a lot of money involved. Why has there never been this like financialization until now?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably been a couple of folks that have attempted one way or another, but not very successfully in really small scale, like so small that it's a blip.
Like
Right. So
MJ.com.
you've got the kind of financial aspect with, companies like Domain Capital, right? That a loan against domains, one-off, difficult to get a loan, but can be done. But nothing at scale that creates liquidity. I mean, unless we talk about old school parking, but parking is essentially.
But that's still not liquidity. That's more like monetization on top, right?
And on that note, and Fred, I'm going to toot your horn. Like the company that really brought parking to the masses was Domain Sponsor. It was Fred's old company. So if there's anybody that knows how to create liquidity for domain names, it's Fred.
So
I'm going to make a little bit of a joke, but actually it's real. Let me see if I can share my little photo reel. I got to be able to tell a story sometimes, but give me this, okay?
Go for it.
I would say, so this, do you see my picture over here?
Not.
Do you see my screen? Okay.
We're still looking at your mug.
My bad. All right, it doesn't work. It's
There
okay.
you go. There you go.
I would say that.
It's up there now.
Oh, there you go.
I can see it now.
I would say because Inder and I and the team here have actually been in crypto. I've been in crypto ever since 2017. I know how to get this trader. I know what incentivizes him. He wants to make money. He wants to basically speculate. This is a little bit similar to how, I mean, if you think about domainers and why Domain Sponsor was successful, domainers want liquidity. They want, if they own the digital land, they want rent. You know what I mean? And I know in Web3 that trading fees, liquidity is like the name of the game, right? So I am kind of stubbornly optimistic that if people are trading, random dog shit coins or Pepe the Frog, they'll certainly want to trade real assets that actually have a natural upside and yield involved.
It seems obvious.
Who was that guy?
He is a random guy trader that we found from the Bitcoin conference across the street from Korea. I don't even know if he speaks English, but I don't care. He's in it to basically
He won the trading competition.
He won the trading competition. Him and his colleague shook his hand, and he went back to the conference. But you tell me, what other domain company, Web2 company, is bringing that in? And again, I love trying these experiments and trying to kind of get this conduit of Web3 capital and liquidity into this asset class, which I hold near and dear, like Braden.
Well, it certainly makes sense to have tokens that are backed by real world profitable assets, digital assets, as opposed to shit coins that God knows what could happen. And I've seen so many coins just moon and then drop 99%. It's crazy.
Well,
it's sorry, Chris. I kind of just want to follow up, like you said, like DApps, right? I know we'll get to this, but Fred is right. Not just domainers. Web3 people want liquidity. They want deep, concentrated liquidity, and I think that's what DApps get you, right? Put the domainers and the Web3 people, deep, concentrated liquidity in a single basket of domains, right? So you don't have to go one by one. You club everything in, and then that makes everyone happy on both sides of the equation.
Well, Inder, we haven't defined what a DAB is yet.
We do. DApps.
You might want
to. It's a great segue. I think the DAV is basically taking what we, in some ways, have perfected, like a single domain fractionalization, but doing it at a mass scale. So instead of taking one alert.ai, what if you could take, 1,000 alert.ais or .ai names and create a very specialized basket. From a domain owner, they don't have to worry about liquidity at individual domain level. So they have liquidity. And just as much for the Web3 trader, now they have this access to this like deep capital pools that they can trade against. So I think that's basically like DAV in a nutshell. It's just like fractionalization at a portfolio level. What we've been doing, fractional ownership, but at a portfolio level.
I mean, would it be safe to call it like a index fund of these domains, a ETF? Like what would fit closer as far as an analogy or a comparison?
Yeah, index fund is probably the closest. I think, we like use the real estate analogy. So like REITs would be like a close one. But that's basically it. Fractional ownership, like Braden, you also said, right? People tried it, but it never really worked out. Now that we're seeing it work out really well, how can we bring that, REIT, ETF strategy to like domain portfolios?
It would be remiss if I didn't ask Fred, what does it stand for? What is DAV? What is the acronym?
Digital Asset Vault.
Vault,
right?
okay.
I'll give you the literal definition. It's a secure, highly encrypted repository used to store, manage, and protect valuable digital assets. For example, a cryptocurrency, for example, a share of Braden's alert.ai token, or many like it. Right? Think about it's kind of like a virtual safety deposit box for specialized assets, right? And blockchain makes it happen. Smart contracts is the way we do it, and it's trusted by people in Web3 to put millions and billions of dollars into today. How do we get it into the domain or group of domains held by Braden and his colleagues? Leave that up to us.
So let's say I put together a DAV with 20 or 25 premium oneword.coms, and I tokenize it and I sell off 20% of the tokens, and one of those domains sells. What happens to that money?
Great question.
Yeah, I think Braden, it's no different from alert.ai. So it's true ownership at a portfolio level. So if you sold off 20% of the tokens, you basically, the owners who own the 20% of the tokens get the proceeds from your domain sale. Just like, if you were to, when you sell alert.ai for 650K, the proceeds will go to the tokens you've sold out.
So if I've got 25 premium names and pineapple.com sells out of that portfolio, and it sells for whatever, $8 or $10 million, then that money gets distributed
To the owners.
to I guess 20%, if I sold off 20%, 20% of
That is correct.
of the pineapple.com sale price gets distributed to token holders.
That is correct. After, you take out your OPEX and other things. But yeah, basically all the ownership proceeds get distributed between all the token holders, and you owning 80% retain 80%.
So for the end user, for those listening in today, if they hold a portfolio of domains, reach out to the Doma team, and this might be something they'd be interested in starting their own DAV, or would they partner up with other domain owners? I guess is the DAV created by someone just like Braden, or is there a possibility of Braden partnering up with someone else and then combining their domains that are owned by two separate individuals or entities into a singular DAV?
Well, if I can answer that quickly, it's no different than people who own ultra domains today in the domain world. Sometimes they're bought and managed by single individuals or entities. Sometimes, multiple domainers go pitch in. We don't care. As long as basically it's a domain name with some sort of ownership model, you put it or many into a digital asset vault, and we take the digital asset vault public. Now, you don't have to sell all of it. As Inder mentioned, you can sell 5%, you can sell 20%. That's no different than Apple when they went public. Think about it, right? They went public. They only shared a small float, but that float enabled them to kind of get more money, which they can invest in devices and your special iPhone you have today, as well as marketing. And we want domain owners or REIT owners or DAV owners to think about it in the same way. Sophisticated finance can finally come to the domainer, an ultra premium domainer world.
And it also like mints a whole family of new domainers, right? I keep joking, like let's say I want to put like $50,000, right, in domains, right? Today I don't have a way other than handpicking, names. I'm not Braden. I'm not going to be good at handpicking names, and 50K is not even a lot of money, right? But if I can put it in a vault, I can actually make real good returns on my money with while I tap into the experience and the supply that people like Braden bring to the table. So I think it's a win-win for both sides because, you never win in a marketplace, without providing utility to both sides of the equation. So Braden brings like amazing names that no one really knows how to pick or sell, while I just want to put my capital to good use.
And in this way, to your point, you could get that 50K spread across 10, 50, 100 domains that are high premium domains, whereas you might be lucky to go get one semi-premium domain for 50K.
And guess that if I'm good at picking that name or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, it would be difficult to even find that name, right?
Yeah, I don't even know where to go, Braden.
So when premium names, every once in a while, a few times a year, they'll hit the auction block, and they'll sell for like crazy pricing. So, for example, mind.com sold on auction a few months back to an investor for $800,000, just over $800,000. It's just crazy high, and the reason is because there are a few folks out there that want these high value names, but they don't have the relationships and the access to this inventory, and so they just have to spend the money on the name on auction, but they're not going to get the same multiple. When I'm buying names, I'm buying if I'm going to buy a name that's usually I'm going for like 10x, right? So I'm buying a name right now that's $350,000, but it'll sell for 3 to 5 million ultimately. Now it might take me several years, but that's kind of the range. And when they're on auction, if this name that I'm buying was on auction, it would sell for $800,000, and the spread's just not there. I mean, it seems like it's a good return, except it takes years for these names to sell, and you need to have a lot of names to get the sell-through rate. That makes sense because this average sell-through rate is like 1%. On a 1% for a portfolio, that's a good portfolio for an investor that knows what they're doing.
So they say, like in the VC world, like you're probably doing good if you're hitting on 1 out of 10. You've got some experience in the angel world, even harder hit rate or lower hit rate in domains. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I'm in about 40-ish companies, and so the difference with angel investing versus domain investing is 90% of those angel investments are going to go to zero. Right? I lose all my money, and then a few percentage points, I'll make some return, 2x, 3x, 4x. But the 1 in 1,000 just goes through the roof. It becomes a unicorn, and I make a bunch of money, and that makes up for all of the other losers and the moderate winners. The difference with domain names, at least at the high end, none of them go out of business. They're just addresses. None of them, right? Could I lose money? Only if I sold it for less than I paid, which we're talking about an appreciating asset. So for example, any name that I sold 10 years ago, I'd buy back today at what I sold it for because they've appreciated so much. They're worth 10 times as much. I just buy them back. And sometimes I do deals where I'll say, whatever you pay me, I'll buy it back at a third of that price. I mean, no one ever takes me up on it, right? But I would do it. I'd guarantee that because I know that if they come back to me in 5 years, like I'd be happy to pay that price anyway, right? Because they're appreciating, and they have always appreciated in the last 35 years. Domains have never gone down in value. So if I'm going to buy a name that I can wholesale in 5 years for more than I paid, like why not do that versus an angel deal where there's a good chance I'm going to lose all my money.
I also like how like Fred puts this. Like Fred always says, like premium names are beachfront properties. Mid-tier names are like, you're in LA, like, the other side of the freeway, right? It's still premium, right? even through like cyclical markets, premium names are still going up. There is never going to be a time where a beachfront property in California will not be more valuable than it was the year before. Like that's just like how it works, right? So I think, you know, what Braden is at the forefront, right? He literally has every premium property on the beachfront. So it's a very different cycle for him. I don't even know if there's a cycle. I think it always trends in that direction.
Yeah, the only cycle, in air quotes, the only cycle is sometimes there's a downturn in the market for whatever reason, and that just creates a buying opportunity for me. So maybe my sales slow down for a bit, but then I can just buy up names, you know, the VCs that are selling off names for companies that went under. I can just buy those names, and my sales velocity might dip a little bit, but that's okay. I'm just buying. I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah, even, you know, using the back to the real estate analogy, like, yeah, the markets may dip. It might be a little less this year than it was last year, but over the course of the next decade, the beachfront property is almost 100% certainly going to be more expensive than it is today. I think very similar with these premium domains. Fred, we announced this at Dominion and where these DAVs are launching. I don't know if people missed Doma OnAir or they weren't there. This might be the first time they're hearing that they're going to be live on Solana. What can you speak to about that? Why Solana, and what does it unlock that maybe other chains don't or haven't yet?
Solana is where most of the trading activity happens these days in crypto. So the whole idea is you put an asset out there, whether it's a stable coin or a meme coin, which is not our thing, or even like these real world assets like domains, right, that have a natural yield. People will love to buy stuff that they feel will appreciate, right? And all Solana means is, for us, is it's a community, it's a robust chain, it's very, very sort of fault tolerant and all the kind of technical wizardry. It's just a place where people should, trade a shitload. So in the Web2 world, I'll call it, it's like NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange.
Makes sense.
Very excited to bridge basically our tokens over to Solana. And Inder can talk about some of the technicals if you have any questions there, but we got it. Web2 people, you don't have to worry about it. We got it. Just sort of sign on board to the program, crawl if you like, before you walk before you run, obviously.
I think like the one thing I might want to add is Solana also offers composability, right? Once you have a token on Solana, day one, you can lend against that token. You can put that token in another vault and then do much more with it, right? So think of it, it's a financial market, and literally that's our thesis, right? Domain capital markets. Not only are you bringing, like Fred said, to one of the most performant chains on earth, what you're also doing is you're bringing this utility around your domain tokens. So not only does a domainer have liquidity, now they can actually use that token to do a lot more that they couldn't do earlier. Including DeFi lending, DeFi looping, DeFi yields, like stuff that was previously just not possible. And the concentration of users, concentration of capital, concentration of DeFi protocols just accelerates the utility of your tokens and domains.
And so Vibhu, Chief Product Officer at Solana, was there on stage, right, alongside guys like Braden, and he said it himself too, and it really resonates with the Web3 conference team over there. People in Web3 expect, once you get a token on a Solana and it's solid, and there's enough trading activity, it's really liquid, you can do all kinds of things. DeFi looping, you can borrow and lend against. You can take some guy's crypto that he bought for $1,000, 10x'd it, then put it into 10 other tokens and 10x those and kind of recycle it back to this instrument, right? We just want to make it easy, kind of like Lego blocks, to build off of, Braden's maybe eventual DAV or other DAVs, out there, right? But you have to kind of put in the right infrastructure to begin with. And I think that, I know Braden mentioned a quote during Dominion, right? He mentioned it was pretty cool that alert.ai launched, and immediately it popped 22%. So for those people who bought in, at the launch, and exited, they made like 22% within what, like 5 or 6 minutes.
I wish I had known that my own domain was going to pop that. Like I could have bought back my own tokens and made 22% of my money in a couple of hours.
There we go. And we don't have to be the developer of those applications, the UI interface. We would love if 100 apps built on top of, this launch right after or post-launch of alert.ai tabs, right? So we see a world where there's a lot of winners, a lot of app developers, and obviously a lot of supply owners like Braden winning. And that's why it's Solana.
Giving us a glimpse there too of what might be coming on Solana. I know you're working on some major partnerships. We won't name names yet today, but without naming those names, is there anything else in terms of just like to give us an idea of that sense of scale that you're building on Solana, or who you might be working with? Anything you're able to speak to today in terms of what else we might expect with this launch on Solana and some of the partners you're working with?
And we expect you to name names.
Go ahead. You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Or want me to?
I will not name names.
Trying to promote fire, trying to pry the out of him, Braden.
I'll say the same one thing. If you were a large registrar and you have an own and operate portfolio, talk to us. You're right in our wheelhouse. So like if you're like a Namecheap or like a GoDaddy or like a pork bun, you're right in our sweet spot. You know what I mean? Like, a year ago we were doing hand puppets like this, kind of explaining what we were kind of doing, and people, but like we spent the past 6 months building some pretty exciting, fun foundational tech, starting with these ultra premium domains like Braden's. But it's really like inning one out of a 9-inning game for us, right? And as I said before, there is no more gap between idea and execution with AI. The only differentiator we have is working with close partners like Braden and these domainers, or big registrars, or big owned and operated portfolios, right?
Yeah, and
it sounds like there's a deal with Pork Bun, GoDaddy, or Spaceship, because they're right in your sweet spot. So who is it?
By the way,
I
love when Braden was poking and jabbing at the two brokers at AI.com. That was hilarious. If I had a photo of that and I'll still do it, I'll send it to my kids. I'll be like, that's how you do a conference talk.
Braden did a round 2 at ICA, like Jeff and Larry were there, and Braden was brutal.
I said something like, I know you can't share what your commission was, but can you tell us in dollars how much you made? Right. So of course he pivoted, and I was like, okay, from a percentage standpoint, how much did you make?
If you don't know Braden's humor, you would not have got that. But Chris, going back to your question though, right? Like I think, the first apps have a very strong qualifying criteria. I think this industry has a lot of good companies and veterans who qualify for it. So there is no shortage of good partners.
Mm-hmm.
And same on Solana, right? If you think about it, we're talking about like liquidity now. So it's attracting the best domains. We're not talking about liquidity in 6 months or like anything, right? How can we get you physical hard cash today? So it attracts the best of the best in the industry. And then when you bring it to Solana, all our partners on Solana side, I'll just say are the OGs of Solana, right? These are teams that have built the best DeFi protocols in Solana over the past 4 years. So, can't name names, but, I do want to say that, given the unique asset class, even Web3 wants tokens that actually have some derived value and are not just pure speculative currencies.
Yep.
I like how Inder was talking about the OGs. It's like 4 years.
It's crypto. You become OG in 4 to 5 years.
I got stuff in my freezer that's been there longer than 4
years. Braden, you've been investing in this space for a very long time, and apparently buying meat for at least 4 years. When you hear about these DAVs,
he doesn't know.
He went to the vegan store. We have 2 vegans on the line.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
I don't mean to digress.
been
Go for
buying
it.
vegetables for at least 4 years.
That broccoli from Costco.
When you hear about, so meet.com or meet.ai is not on the not in the next DAV, huh? When you hear about these DAVs and the institutional portfolios like your own, meeting retail access and bringing it all on chain, how's this got you thinking differently about your own portfolio?
So the way I make money, so I don't make money from parking. There's no monetization from parking for me. And there is for other people, but that's not my portfolio. This opens up another opportunity for liquidity that I didn't have before. By selling off a percentage, and it's wholesale-ish, right? I mean, but I can get more than I paid, especially if I've held on to a name for a long time. But I still maintain control. I sort of have partners, but I have full control. I have control of the DNS. I can sell the name. I can monetize the name. I can lease out the name. I can do all kinds of things with the name. So there's no restrictions there, but I get immediate liquidity. So there's that advantage. Also, what I've been pushing Fred and the team to do is you know what's coming, guys, is being able to borrow against the name. So if I put the name or names, if I take a portfolio, let's say I take a $50 million value portfolio, create a DAV out of it, and then tokenize it, I should be able to now borrow against it because I can use that as security. I can collateralize a loan with my portfolio, with a domain or my portfolio. So if I want to borrow, say, $5 million and I put up $50 million in inventory, they can create any kind of LTV they want. They can discount it to a wholesale level, and I can still borrow against that inventory at whatever the interest rate is. And it's immediate, right? Because D3 should have some sort of, Inder's got his thumb up. D3 will have some sort of appraisal mechanism so that this is an automated process. And I can't speak to any of that because I don't know. That's above my pay grade. But when that system comes, people can upload their portfolio, tokenize it, and then at any point just borrow against it, right? And collateralizing it with those tokens. So now it's an unrelated third party as opposed to, say, Domain Capital or funding.com, where they say, here's my name or names, and then they kind of analyze it and come up with an LTV that works for them, and there's a high interest rate, and it's much more difficult process than what we can do on chain.
And I would think the pool of lenders or those that you might be able to tap into liquidity is just, I would think, so much larger on chain, right? Like people, your counterparty in this case, where by tokenizing it and being able to to pull that liquidity out, you're opening it up to, like you said, you might be able to do it off chain. You might be able it may exist today, but in this environment on Solana or quite frankly, any of the chains that might be in the future, it's just your customer might, especially if the terms are favorable. And we said it earlier, but I think it's worth driving home the fact that these domains aren't going to zero. You have a real floor built in, especially with these premium domains, with these DAVs, that I would think they're going to feel much more comfortable lending on a premium domain or a portfolio of premium domains as opposed to a meme coin or a JPEG.
Yeah. Nobody wants to borrow money against cars or, things that depreciate, for example. Sorry, go on, Braden.
Yeah, and I was going to say, now we can bring in an unrelated third party, let's say an institutional investor, or just degens that are willing to lend against portfolios at whatever interest rate they want, right? So D3 can kind of put together a pool of funds and distribute those funds collateralized by domains, and it's secured because of those tokens. And of course, there has to be trust in that appraisal system and what D3 has put together. But I think that with Solana and D3, I think they'll be able to sort that out, right? And so there's going to be trust in the overall mechanism.
I would say, slightly different for the first phase, though, as part of the DAVs, because you sold off some equity, right? Or people who will be bringing the DAVs to market, they sell some equity ownership, right? So there's already a market, so you don't need an appraisal, right? Because if someone's willing to buy your DAV token at a certain price, you have a capital market. And that's how JupeLend or any lending protocol works, right? You say hey, I'm willing to over collateralize a loan, and you put your equity. But instead of putting your domains as collateral, now you put your DAV tokens. And it's easy, right? Because there's deep liquidity. Hey, if tomorrow I have to liquidate 20% of the tokens, I can do it because I can see how much open orders for spot are on the market, right? So now we're getting into true financial markets where you can kind of see hey, I can price it on a per second basis and make financial decisions on liquidation. So it's a very exciting journey, especially for Web3, because now, Chris, not just Braden, if I buy the token, even I can take a loan against it. That's the beauty of it. So even me as a Web3 investor now have access to the same loans that Braden does.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And just to add to that too, I mean, what Braden and Inder mentioned, that institutional investors, they want to invest in stuff like this. They just don't have access to it. That's why you see institutional investors put money through stock markets. And increasingly, institutional investors are putting money into both stock markets and token markets, right? So think about tokens really as just the medium for investors, retail and also institutional, to simply get in. That's it, right?
Yep. Gentlemen, they say time flies when you're having fun. We got a hard out here in about 9 minutes. In addition to DAVs, I also, if we could, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about AI agents. And I know we've talked about AI agents and domains almost every episode so far, but not just talking about it. I wanted to at least show a video clip here. We'll point out where the audience could go get a demo later. But Inder, can you kind of walk us through this agentic engine and MPP and what this actually does, what it means? I'll share a recent post. And you can go to mpp.dev or actually mpp.doma.xyz for a full demo. But yeah, can you walk us through what this agentic engine breakdown is and what MPP actually does?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. But before I answer that, I'll just want to give 30 seconds of context, right? Web 1 was read. Web 2 was write. And everyone has heard this analogy, right? Web 3 was own. And the thesis still exists, right? You can now own an NFT or a token, and then you own the domain, that Braden has brought on the market, right? MPP just makes it easier for agents to transact on your behalf. So now if I want to own something, I can use my agent to interact on my behalf. Everyone here has probably used ChatGPT or Claude, right? And that's what this is. Hey, today I can autonomously trade all my domains and tokens through MPP, which means I can make payments, I can receive payments, I can do everything you could do as a human, but now your agent can do it on your behalf. So, there's a lot of acronyms like DAVs, MPP, but that's what this is. Web3 brought the own ethos to the table. Agentic interfaces are the right way for that. Agents love keys. Agent loves APIs. They don't like credit cards. They don't like filling forms. So this is the powerhouse that unlocks agentic commerce on domains.
One example as well is agents should be able to buy pieces and trade pieces or whole domains. Why not? They're getting wallets now. They're getting capitalized. Have them make smart decisions just like a human would. Right?
Well, they're smarter than we are.
They're smarter than we are. And I think that's what it boils down to, right? When an agent shows up on your landing page, it's representing a human. Like Fred said, MPP just ensures you don't lose that lead. Hey, an agent is knocking on your door. We just want to make sure the domain can trade against that agent. That's it. That's all we're here to do. We want to make everything domainers do, but accessible to agents.
Braden, I got to imagine when you first started buying domains, you probably didn't think about selling them to an agent, a robot. How does this change about how you're thinking about, again, back to that portfolio, what kind of domains do you think win? I mean, I'm guessing it's still the short, memorable, category defining domains, but is this, as agents enter the buyer pool, you're there's a world, you fast forward, there's a lot more agents on the internet than there are humans. How excited does this get you for the future of domains and selling some of these domains?
Yeah, I mean, from a tokenization standpoint, yeah. I mean, I remember when I launched alert.ai at Dominion, clearly there were bots buying and selling tokens. Because it was just so rapid, right? And that's I think one of the reasons why the value shot up so quickly. So will the high value domains sell via agents? Probably not. But will tokens sell? For sure, because that is an investment vehicle, right? So the agents will buy and sell the tokens in order to make money, just like we've got quantum trading. I don't Inder, would that be a good example?
Yeah, I think so, but it's a little far out. But basically, yeah.
Yeah, but I have a crystal ball, so
Yeah.
that's why I knew agents were going to be buying and selling names in 20 years ago.
Yeah,
and also agents. I mean, look, I've been saying this with Paul Stavura, one of our D3 co-founders, for years. Like agents need like a trusted endpoint, and domains are the best way to name an agent. I mean, for me, otherwise, who the heck do I know if I'm interacting with a legit agent or not? A scam, North Korea, or like an American? Like, how do I know? There's no trust framework. Domains are the perfect vehicle for websites, email, wallet addresses now, and also agents, in my opinion. Right? The systems works and has for decades. It don't need to be fixed. Use domains for agents.
Yeah, domains are definitely not going anywhere. People say, well, what about with AI? Aren't domains going to become obsolete? We get all our information from ChatGPT now. I'm like, well, where do you think they're getting their information? From the internet. And all the information is hosted on websites, which require domain names. And while we're talking about it, what about the whole email infrastructure? Emails aren't going away, right? So that requires domain names. So domains are
also like everything, Braden, you just said can be programmed now, right? You can program MX records, DNS records, identity. Everything can be like done programmatically, and I think that's where this is going, right? You see CLIs, like we have a Doma CLI. Everything Braden said, including getting your agent a wallet, an email, and a website, can now be done via command line, like from Doma. Like that's what agents need: autonomous execution, over their, portfolio.
What a time to be alive. I know there's some stats here at the bottom, maybe challenging to see for those listening in. I know there's a couple other .ai domains that also just recently launched on Doma, but I did want to at least highlight briefly here the alert.ai. I saw already over 400 subdomains, which is pretty impressive. FDV at a little over $200,000, circulating market cap of about 58,000. $160,000 in volume in this launch not even a month ago. I think April 30th there at Dominion. But it just what this has opened up. It's really opened my eyes to what is already an exciting industry. And I think, not speaking for others, but for those coming from the crypto space, they may see some of these numbers, and it's not a multi-billion-dollar token from within the first week or month. But think about what these domains are often purchased for. Even a .ai domain, a $200,000 domain is not nothing. Like that's a pretty, I know there was several examples out there where individuals within their first day, just in trading fees, they had recouped more than what they paid for the domain itself, right?
We actually launched that at a substantial discount to allow for room. So that name's actually priced at $650,000. So when it sells, and by the way, a .ai, that's not a lot. I just sold a .ai for twice that. This a couple days ago. As a matter of fact, money's still in escrow. I haven't received it yet.
Congrats.
Congrats. Thank you. And so that's not a lot, but the $200,000 valuation leaves really a lot of room for profit for the token.
Growth. Yeah.
Yep.
And to be clear, Braden owns the majority still and controls the domain, as you know, right?
Yep.
And look, this is no different than retail in my eyes. The more eyeballs, the more foot traffic, the more people thinking about and wanting, and possibly a corporate coming by alert.ai, the better for everybody. We would love for him to hit his bins, whether it's on our market or another.
Yep.
It'll happen. It's only a matter of time.
No doubt. No doubt. I know we got to get out of here momentarily. I did just want to call, I alluded those two domains, just launched yesterday, wgmi.ai, graduation.ai. I think both might still be in their bonding curve. If not, they might have just broken out, but pretty close to it. A couple other exciting .ai domains. Wanted to give them a little bit of love, but I know we got to get running here. Really enjoyed the conversation today as always. Braden, we'll have to have you back. It's always a pleasure. Grateful we connected in Vegas, and we're looking forward to doing this again sometime soon. Before we wrap up, though, we'll go around the horn for any quick final words or anything we didn't get to today. I know maybe didn't get to all the items we had hoped to discuss, but any final words or anything we wanted to make sure we share with the audience that we didn't get to yet? We'll start with you, Braden.
When you pulled up the stats for alert.ai, I was going to ask one of the guys to define all of those things. That didn't happen. So maybe next time it might make sense to dive in to the stats on one of the names, just to explain how it works.
For sure. Inder, how about yourself? Anything, any final thoughts, closing words, anything we didn't get to today you were hoping to share?
We did ship a simple view, which does not show what we just showed, which is much more explanatory. So maybe we'll get you the answer, Braden, faster than you want. And I think we should have Braden throw out the 40-year-old food in his fridge. I think that's not a good look.
And we also learned pineapple better than meat today. I didn't catch the pineapple.com originally. I get it now. Premium domain for sure. Fred, any final words, closing thoughts?
Dabs will be launching this quarter, which is technically what 32 days left. So look out for news on our socials. Very excited to talk to more of you guys.
Yeah, very cool. Go check out that. I know we showed you. If you didn't get to see it all on screen, go to mpp.doma.xyz for that demo and more. Doma.xyz. Launch the app. Play around. Get some alert.ai before it goes up even more so. Never any financial advice, but I think that the exciting thing here is you heard it. It's a $600,000 domain. It's not going to zero. It might be volatile. It might go up, might go down a little bit, but it does have a real floor that it truly is. It's not going to go to zero. Like a lot, unfortunately, many of the meme coins and even some legitimate protocols and tokens. It's difficult to tie real value back to some of them in a tangible way, and it's very straightforward with domains.
And hey, if National Weather Service or if one of Elon Musk's company wants to come by and pay a stupid number for alert.ai, those who get in early, you could do the math.
Well, I mean, even if I discounted that name to say $500,000, every token holder is going to make 2.5 times their money at this price. I mean, if they got in earlier, then it was even cheaper.
No doubt.
Yep.
Well, gentlemen, thank you again for your time today. We will we'll get some good follow-up stuff for the next Doma OnAir. And I don't know, 6 episodes in, I think 75% don't make it past episode 3. So we've doubled that already. No plan to stop anytime soon. Go again, check out alert.ai on Doma. Check out those 2 new ones, wgmi.ai and graduation.ai. Reminder, season 1 is live. And get on that leaderboard. If you haven't heard about Dabs yet, keep your eyes out. More big stuff, more big news is coming. We kind of teased some pretty exciting partners there. It was great to hear from Vibhu. As I mentioned, the head of product at Solana was at Dominion. And also the other thing you missed out if you missed Dominion was some pretty incredible merch. Not just merch, but some really nice
representing
as well. Right? Hey, thank you all for being here today. Greatly appreciate everyone who tuned in. Appreciate all the questions in the chat. Sorry if we didn't get to all your questions. We ran a little long today, but we'll be back. We'll be back for Doma OnAir here in a week or two, and we'll get to anything that we didn't get to today then. And have a wonderful day, everyone. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Good seeing you.
Bye.
Buying domains was low, Doma changing the game. One bridge, one standard, now the systems move the same. Registrar, stay central, keep the trust and control. DNS and compliance, still they play the key role. Traded on chain, let new markets arise. Domain value unlocked. Welcome to Domain Fi.